What is popping, y'all? My apologies. I'm on the road today helping my brother move. He's getting into his home, and my sister-in-law is struggling and putting this code for the gate, so it's a little funny seeing her scattle. But anyways, I'm about to help her. Regardless of the fact, I appreciate y'all being present. Shout out to the ladies. Quit playing with them. Tune in and focus. We're covering chapters 4 and 5 of Rich Dad Poor Dad. And I am grateful for this book, especially because of the level of financial literacy. It really helps solidify for those who have never gotten exposed to it before, but as well as those who have like actually read the book before. I know that you guys have heard me say it plenty of times, but I've read this book like 4 or 5 times, and every time it gets clearer and more intentional. Um, just because of the knowledge and the information that you get exposed to, as well as the info that is pertinent to a different season of your life. So I'm excited. I know my mama was getting it done this morning with her audios, and I know you guys be reading as well. So if anybody wants to open this up, you got the floor. Appreciate you.
I can go first.
All right,
Let
mama.
me
Appreciate you.
get back to my room here. Well, good morning, everybody. I hope everybody is doing well on this Saturday morning. Definitely blessed to have air in my lungs, which means God is not done with me yet. So, um, I did get through the audio for both of these chapters, which, it really definitely, like Marcus said, the more you read this, the more intentional you get with it. And along with, some of the financial hardships that I am currently in right now, it definitely is an eye opener again. So for my notes that I have for chapter 4, let me find. Okay, there it is. So I know a lot of you guys probably heard about, Robin Hood back in your school days, whatnot. Unfortunately, I didn't listen. I didn't listen to anything about what taxes were. Nobody in my family ever told me anything about that. I think honestly, I did what they did and just kind of winged it and did what the government said for us to do, because as long as we were living, we were going to have to abide and live by what the government told us to do. Um, Everybody thought that Robin Hood was a hero for taking money from the rich and going and giving to the poor. But unlike the rich dad called him a crook. Um, Most of the popular thought is that the rich should pay more for taxes, um, and then to give to the poor. But in reality, it was like more of the middle class that was heavily taxed. And the rich and the poor are the ones who actually voted for that tax. Back in the day, back going to school and stuff like that, there was no taxes in England, no taxes in America until they made that official, like permanent in 1913 with the Boston tax, Boston Tea Party or whatever. But they mentioned that the income tax that was permanently put was to punish the rich, and um, and it wound up punishing more of where we're at, more of the middle class, more of the poor. Um, and he kind of also went into like um, when we think putting in overtime, when we think us working harder for our money is going to give us more money. But in reality, the government takes more of that money. And honestly, I really didn't know any of that until the first time I read this book, which was a few years ago. Um, so when somebody in your family, or you try to talk to somebody in your family regarding these things, especially for us older people who are in our 40s, mid 40s, 50s, 60s, we tend to have this saying where you say you can't teach old dogs new tricks. And we're so set into our ways that we are definitely not going to take any advice, especially coming from our children or anybody younger than us. Definitely has things so reversed. Um, don't give up on them. Continue to teach them and let them know that we can change. We can have a different way of thinking. Um, it's crazy to think that the rich found ways to minimize their tax burdens, you know. And honestly, I literally just wrote this note down about the 1031 uh, Internal Revenue Code, which anything that has to do with mortgage, anything that has to do with any of that, I'm so blinded to it because I haven't dove or dipped my toes into anything like that. But I did write this down and I thought this was pretty interesting. That the 1031 Internal Revenue Code allows a seller to delay paying taxes on a piece of real estate that is sold for a capital gain through an exchange of more expensive real estate. As long as you keep trading up in value, you won't be taxed in the gain until you liquidate, which was pretty cool because that builds your asset columns. And again, to me, when I read that, I feel like if you buy a house with the intention of staying there for a few years, then you go and you find another home and you rent that home out. And then that home that you rent out ends up paying for the home that you're in now, to where you stay in for a few years. And then you do the same thing. That is building your asset columns because that's money working for you, not you working for money. It's expensive not to know the laws. Like, definitely, we need to, me, myself, also, I need to dive in more into knowing the laws of taxes and anything that has to do with government stuff. But this book is amazing. Chapter, that all kind of covers chapter 4 on what I got. But chapter 5, the rich invent money. Um, the two examples that he gave in the beginning of the chapter about Alexander Bell and him trying to sell his company um, to Western Union for $100,000, and Western Union just didn't see an opportunity and turned him down. But literally, them turning him down created a multi-billion-dollar industry, which emerged for him. And that kind of brought my brother and my sister-in-law. They have a home in Austin that they have been trying to buy. The city has been trying to buy from them for years. And she's held off and held off and held off, and recently decided to sell her home for over $1 million. So with her sticking her ground and not saying yes to the um, first bid, and her holding off those years, ended up incurring more of what they were going to offer her. So with that offer, she couldn't pass that up. So that right there just kind of made me think about that situation. He also mentioned for us planting our seeds that there's opportunities everywhere we go. And what that is your greatest wealth. But it is what you do not know that is your greatest risk as well. So folks, I would say once you're done reading this book for the first time, read it again and then read it again. Because, like Marcus says, you get more intentional as you read this book and you get more. For me, I pick up more things than what I did in the first time. So, thanks you guys for your time and your attention. So, I'm going to go ahead and popcorn. I can do the two guys who are, or the two people who have their camera on, if Amber or Cam want to go.
What up?
Fire take, Mom, fire take.
Yeah, super fire take. Mary? No, that's what we're calling you Mary. I feel like it's incomplete because we always say Mama Mary, like Mary. Okay, so we're on 3 and 4, chapters 3 and 4.
4 and 5.
4 and 5. Okay. Get it together here. 1 second. Okay. I don't have much to share just because, like, yeah, like, there's so much in this book, and you know, honestly, it's just like a lot. There's a lot of information, and I'm really, really grateful for it. Like, this is my first time going through this book, and so I'm just like allowing myself like to take all the information in, and then just apply like what I can like right now, and just really just take it in. There's so much like to learn that I feel like I can't even like talk about one thing, but let me pick one thing. So one of the things that I found the most interesting about this chapter was when we talked about like 4 main technical skills. So he said financial intelligence is made up of these 4 main technical skills. 1, accounting. Accounting is financial literacy, or the ability to read numbers. This is a vital skill if you want to build businesses or investments. Number 2, investing is the science of making money. Understanding markets. Understanding markets is the science of supply and demand. Alexander Graham Bell gave the market what it wanted. So did Bill Gates. A $75,000 house offered for $60,000 that cost $20,000 was also the result of seizing an opportunity created by the market. Somebody is buying and somebody was selling. And then number 4, the law. The law is the awareness of accounting, corporate, state, and federal regulations. I recommend playing by the rules. It is this basic foundation, or the combination of these skills, that is needed to be successful in the pursuit of wealth, whether it is through the buying of small homes, apartment buildings, companies, stocks, bonds, precious metals, baseball cards, or the like. I really, really like this because it's just like he just points out like the exact skills, that we need to learn. And I feel like my experience with like financial literacy, or just honestly education in general, like a big reason why I feel like I'm really passionate about, personal development and teaching like the stuff that we talk about here, is because of like how obvious it's not. Like growing up, I've always been the type to like, always ask questions, always learning, and always like, I felt like I was like asking too many questions, but I wasn't. Like stuff wasn't making sense, and I needed it to make sense. So I just ask questions and like try to put things together. And like one of my biggest pet peeves was, searching for an answer and just not getting a clear answer. You know what I mean? And so like I feel like when it comes to financial literacy, I felt like the kids like in this book, like Rich Dad Poor Dad, like why, like I remember like when I just first started my entrepreneur journey and I was like learning about all this stuff, I was like, why is this stuff like not obvious? Like why doesn't everyone know this? You know what I mean? And understanding that, the information is out here and it isn't made obvious. Like you do have to go out of your way to study and to continue to find the answers and put the pieces together. So that's all we have to say about this chapter in this book. Honestly, it's just so much. But I'm grateful for it, and I'm grateful to read this book over and over and over again, because I know with the accumulated repetition, I will get it. Pam, do you want to share?
Not gonna lie, I haven't even been able to listen to audio. I have been. I will be listening to audio after.
Okay. Love you too. Kelsey, do you want to share?
Cool. Can y'all hear me? Yeah, cool. Yeah, I agree with both Mama Mary and Amber. Especially in chapter 4 when they're talking about the taxes, at least I growing up was never really taught about, the ins and outs of taxes, but I also think, that's because my parents also didn't know. I was just taught, you just need to make sure you get them done so you're not, getting in trouble later down the road. But yeah, listening to that chapter and like Mama Mary was saying, learning about, how the wealthy people always look at them as the bad guys. They're not paying taxes or they're not paying much in taxes. But I mean, he even said it. I don't remember if it was in chapter 4, but he was talking about, they just know how to play the game essentially better than everybody else. And, I've heard people say that. And then, I've also heard people like get upset when people say that. But the thing is that information and that knowledge is, available to everybody. It's available to everyone. It's just a different concept than what we are normally taught. And so, people get fearful of that and then, obviously continue to complain about their own situation. But I don't remember specifically, what he was saying, but it just had caught my eye because it's like these are things that we are doing. These are things that we are learning, what we are implementing, and what we do in our businesses and TGF in general. And just going out and sharing with people that there are other options, there are different ways to, create wealth, but then still be able to capitalize on it in the best way possible. And yeah, like kind of like Mama Mary was saying, I wasn't aware of these things until I read this book. This is my second time going through it. And I think I said it last week too, but yeah, it opens your eyes a little bit more to more things the more times you go through it. But yeah, just learning that, how corporations are able to kind of make the best use of their dollar, and I think he went through, corporations or business owners, they make money, spend, and then pay taxes, where the normal, person makes their money, pays their taxes, and then hopefully has a little bit left over to spend. And so, yeah, it was just really eye-opening, a good reminder, that this information is important to not only learn for ourselves, but also, teach other people if they're willing to learn about it as well. So I'm packing up. I got to drive soon, but Imani or Marcus, if y'all have anything to share. Oh, good morning.
Hi, sunshines, all of you.
Like if Imani can go real quick.
Here.
What's up, girl?
What up, y'all? Whoop, whoop. I'm just kidding. Hi, hope you guys are all doing fantastic today. So let me get to my notes. Let's see. Okay. So funny enough, I read chapter 3. I didn't even realize it. Like I was listening to it and I was just like, this sounds good. And I just wrote notes on it. So I'm gonna get into a little because there's just a couple things from chapter 3 that I'm like, whatever, I already wrote the notes for it. But I'll start with chapter 5 because it's just something that he said that I absolutely love. It's so why bother developing your financial IQ? No one can answer that but you. Yeah, I can tell you why I do it myself. I do it because it is the most exciting time to be alive. I'd rather be welcoming to change than dreading change. I'd rather be excited about making millions than worrying about not getting a raise. So this statement itself is very powerful because in chapter 5, he talks about, the reason why people actually don't go for their dreams is, you know, the fear and the self-doubt. So um, that's that's intense because for me, I've like struggled with that in the past. And it wasn't up until, I decided to move to Austin and like just like over the past few years, just been going in on personal development where I really realized how much that statement is true. It takes a lot of guts, takes a lot of never mind. It takes a lot to put yourself into a position where your ego is so quiet. Like it's the ego is only for survivor mode, period. So outside of that, like fear should not be existing in people's lives. Fear is only something that keeps you alive when you need to be. Like everybody, like over the years, I've always had like so many different stigmas between like what I should be doing and what I shouldn't be doing. And fear is one of those things, but it's like I can understand it so much more now where I'm not in fear of fear, more so I'm accepting of it when it's necessary. So when it comes to my dreams, it's not necessary. Like I am here alive now in this time, and I'd rather be going for everything I want rather than dying, getting on the other side and just being like, it wasn't even that serious. So why not? Why not go for it? It's life. We're alive. We have flesh. We have bones and everything to actually physically do things, you know, while we can. And it's so important to take this specific time and just say screw it because nobody is going to stop you but yourself. And I've like really have been going through that a lot recently, kind of just breaking through. My friend came over to do my budget with me, and I'm over here been freaking out for days. And she's just like, girl, damn, you're good. I'm like, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. I'm like freaking out. I was freaking out for so long. And she just really kind of put it in my face. Like, not only have you been doing good, like, you know what you're doing. It's just like, chill, do your budget, start getting into habits of it, be financially literate. And it's just like, that's the difference um, between the wealthy and everybody else. Because that gap is closing. There's no middle class, really. It's poor, it's the have and have nots, which has, what did he say? He said that it's been waging on for hundreds of years. Like, and it has, everybody, like this is how they were able to, going to chapter 4, this is how they were able to use emotion and ego to, like, the propaganda behind that is insane for the taxes. They spent years um wanting to implement regular taxes, the government, but they couldn't because people are not down for that, right? But once you use this Robin Hood theory, it's just like, oh, yeah, we want the people who are doing better than us to suffer, which is just such an ego trip and such like, that's the difference between like wealthy thinking people, because it's not just about material wealth. It's very much about intellectual, spiritual, and power of self versus envy towards other people's things. It's like, if you don't have it, either be happy with what you have or go for the things that you want. Don't be in fear, because these people are not, and they are profiting off of this. And most of the time it's at poor people's expenses. So it's so crazy. It's crazy because it's true. Like, even for myself, I found myself like spending extra money that I knew I didn't really need to spend, because I wanted like my car and I wanted my jewelry, and I have stopped myself from like really going any further with that. But it was fun for me. I was just like, yeah, why not? Why not? But later down the line, I had a little bit of regret, but I've since worked that out. It's like, it is what it is. I made my decisions. I'm going to stand by it, trust myself. And instead of being in fear, I'm just going to move in a way. It's like, okay, I did what I did for a reason, and I can support myself. I can handle whatever comes my way, but not making future decisions that's based off of emotion and ego. So the whole idea of like taxation is like learning the laws and understanding them. Actually, I just wanted to shout this out. There is no capital gains tax apparently in Texas, which I didn't know that. So if you do buy like a house out here, then you end up selling it, you shouldn't have to pay the capital gains tax. I think you just pay the regular taxes, but don't quote me on that. Like I read it and looked it up online, but I didn't do like a deep dive. The thing I did do a deep dive on, that in the state of Texas, if you're 65 or older, you can get tax exemptions. If you have a homestead, if it's any agricultural land, you can get tax exemptions. So these kind of things are so powerful to know, because these are the loopholes they're talking about. It's like, you think people are out here paying all these taxes? No, they got systems in place. And it makes sense. So it's like really time for us as people to start thinking like that, because in reality, it's not really the wealthy's problem. And it's not really the wealthy's fault. Like, obviously, they do horrible things, make people feel horrible about themselves, and cause a lot of emotional turmoil. Because it's like, when somebody's laughing in your face about the things you don't have, of course, it's going to be like hard to accept. But at the end of the day, it's up to the people who do not have to learn. Well, I won't say that, because we all have, especially on this cause, the wealth, the mindset, the go. So I know for a fact, like, people in these kind of groups like us, we're doing the damn thing, taking the step to get to better places, the places that we want, however that looks. So it's really important for people with poor mindset and children to learn financial literacy, to create like a better future for us. And it's really up to the people who don't know, the ignorant, the people who do not understand financial literacy. It's just like, let's learn, people. Let's do it. So it's really important. I'm going to go ahead and end it there, because I didn't think I was going to go in like that, to be honest. But yeah, I'll shoot it over to you, Marcus.
I want to say something real quick. Hold on, let's get on my car real fast. I have like a real question. Do I feel like it's really important for us to get this right? Hold on. Okay, so right now, Imani, like you had said that the wealth was evil and that they were making us feel bad.
I never said they were evil. Hold on. I never said that they were evil. I just want to point that out, okay?
Like trying to put on you. Like, this is what you said. I'm trying to like just recap, like remember. But like you had a sense, like you were saying, like, yeah, like it's not their fault. And then you, like, the couple sentences after that, you had just said something like they're the ones who are like making us feel bad, this and that. So I have a real question. Is it the wealth? Like, is it the wealthy people? Because I know in the book it said that like the middle class are the ones to have voted. And the only reason I'm asking really is for the context of just like language, because I feel like it's important. Like we want to identify as wealthy, right? So like, so I'm trying to figure it out. Like, is it the wealthy people, or is it like there's people that are in charge that are making these decisions? You know what I mean?
Oh, let me put in.
Okay, yeah, because I don't know.
Okay, bet. What's up, y'all? I'm taking a second from moving with my brother, and I wanted to touch base because I've been listening this whole time. And I appreciate y'all, one, showing up for yourself. So y'all do me solid. Y'all throw some clapping hand emojis in the chat, because truly most people just simply do not do the simple things to get their simple results that might feel as though are outlandish or out of the way or hard to get. But in all reality, the successful people on the planet, they do the simple things over and over and over again. And one of the simplest things you can do for yourself is opening up a book and reading from somebody that has a lifestyle that emulates a portion of what it is you want to create for your own. And most people just don't put the time and effort. What I've recognized, and I've been able to observe, but I've also been able to literally take an intro reflection on my own actions, is we all have the freaking time. We really do. We all have the time. We just make time for things that we want to do, whether it's to turn off our brain and sit down and watch Netflix, or whether it's to turn on our brain and open up the computer and study, whether it's to turn off our brain, smoke and vibe out, or whether it's to turn on your brain and actually write out an expense column for your corporation, your personal budget, the whole nine yards. A lot of it just takes like intentional action. And most people like thinking is the simplest but most difficult thing to do, because it's simple to do, but it's also simple not to do. We're not taught how to think. So I want to give you guys some props, because reading literally turns on your brain. Writing turns on your brain. And if you can get in that continual activity of literal electrical signals going from one cell to the other in your noggin, then you can absolutely always maintain a solution-oriented mindset and you can move forward. So one, I just want to give everybody some props because y'all deserve it. Two, in terms of, I definitely understood what Imani is saying. I just want to clarify that the poor class has good and great people. They also have bad and evil people. The middle class has good and great people. Middle class also has bad and evil people. The wealthy class also has good and great people. They also have the bad and evil people. You can't avoid it. I think what Imani was trying to, Imani, you can correct me if you're wrong or if I'm incorrect, but I think what you were trying to portray was the fact that at the end of the day, it comes down to your mindset and how you think about your situation. And most people have a mindset of wealthy is full of nothing but bad people. I talked about it last week. It was my like initiative as well as my my default setting. Like I always thought wealthy people don't care about anything but themselves, whatever the case was. So what I recognized was I've met some great wealthy people, and then I grew my trust. And then I saw some decent signs from other wealthy people, and I got backstabbed and taught that, damn, there's still some bad wealthy people on the planet. So overall, I think the gist of the matter is, where's your mindset and what's your perspective? Because if you have your ability to grow, if you have your ability to create a life that you really want, you've got to start with your mind first. In chapter 5, he brings up the fact that your greatest asset is your mind. It's not anything else. It's your mind. And most people are going to be, okay, well, if I'm trying to get assets, I need things that are going to make me money. I got to go and get an asset. I got to get an asset. When you don't recognize that the most valuable thing was given to you absolutely for free, and that's why you take it for granted. Most of the time, when it comes to our mind, we are so off on what we understand it can actually do. Like everything around us, everything that helps society function, these freaking storage units, like they came from someone's brain. And through the process, like you have that same faculty of imagination, creativity, and you've got to recognize that the best thing that you can invest in is your mindset. So when he was talking about in chapter 5, let me see what page it was on. I honestly don't have my book on me. I'm looking at the ebook currently, but it's towards the back end of chapter 5, and he goes, The single most powerful asset we all have is our mind. If it is trained well, it can create enormous wealth, period. In chapter 4, when he was discussing about the tax game, he says that if you work for money, you give the power to your employer. And if money works for you, you keep the power and control it. And what's really crazy is we don't have much control of anything, but money is a product of where your thoughts are going. You attract it. You don't make it. The only way that you make it is if you're in a mint making the actual money. Like, money is a made up concept, y'all. It's literally agreed upon, and it's a piece of paper. And eventually, here very soon, I think in the next 5 to 10 years, it'll be obsolete, and we're going to be completely digital anyways. So what I'm trying to help people grasp with what he's saying is that if you understand that your mind is your number one asset, and that if you allow the money to work for you, you get to have control over it because you have control of your attitude of mind and your perspective, then you can honestly run the play. Y'all, I think it was 2 pages or 3 pages from the first opening chapter in chapter 4. He has a corporation income statement, a personal income statement, and a personal balance sheet. Y'all throw a 1 in the chat if you have those currently written out, established and detailed, so that you can track your cash flow. Y'all throw some 1s. Okay, neither have I. And I'm over here wanting to be wealthy. I've tracked literally my personal income and my corporation. My guy Cam is ahead of the game. Let's go, bro. But I've tracked my personal balance sheet and a corporation income sheet. But one thing I have not was identifying the difference between my assets or excuse me, I lied. I have my personal income statement and my corporation income statement. I've done both of those. I've had to file taxes with TGF last year. I know the whole 9 yards. The one thing I have not gotten extremely detailed at, and what I've been intentionally working on over the past 3 months, is literally this personal balance sheet, laying out my assets and then lining out my liabilities so that we can do what he said previously in the other chapters: increase your cash flow, lower your liabilities, lower your expenses so that you can invest more into assets that generate more assets for you to create more income so that you can disposably do as you please. Like, it's literally the game plan. And I think that sometimes we think that we need an extreme amount of income to go and run that in the right way, but you have to start with where you're at and what you have. In other words, steward well with what has been given to you. That's what I was reminded of reading these chapters, because I've learned about, and I wasn't going to touch on a lot of the stuff you guys already touched on, because the tax game is designed for your benefit. It's not designed to go against you. The only way it goes against you is if you don't actively use your brain to figure out how to use it to bring it in your favor. Again, number one asset, your mind. So continuously work on it. But what I was reminded of was like, awesome, I'm taking some decent steps. How can I be more intentional? How can I be more detailed? Because the greatest people on the planet in their industry, in their field, they pay attention to the small details. They do the stuff that most people aren't willing to do. And that is why they live a lifestyle that most people never will actually get to experience. They'll instead watch it. And at the end of the day, what I started to realize was, this is what my mentor said, and I'll end it on this. My mentor, I won a dinner one time with my rich dad. His name was Marcusetta, and it was crazy. I know Amber remembers it because she had swiped up on my story. It was like, bro, that's crazy. And we hadn't chopped it up in some time, but we both learned from this same individual. Marcusetta is one of the GOATs. I booked an event from an event. I was the 3rd person to actually book it from the event, sitting in the seats, and I won a whole dinner. It was lit. Had everything paid for, y'all. I had me a surf and turf. I ordered appetizers. I had me some whiskey on the rocks. Had a glass of wine with the dinner. Then I had some dessert. And best believe I ordered a side of Brussels sprouts. So I remember it to a T, because all I could think about sitting at this table listening to these wealthy people talk was like, bro, my family deserves this. That's all I could think about. And I had the chance to thank my mentor for the mindset he helped me have, the ability that I was able to finish college because of the things he input in my head. And he said one thing that has stuck with me to the end of time. And AB, shout out our partner over in the UK, has been literally repeating the message over and over again. The best part about tasting success is understanding it's possible. The worst part is that whether or not you taste it again is completely dependent upon you. So whenever you expand your mindset and you get around the rooms, like for example, if you were at Unlimited, that was an above average type of experience. We all got to grub out, drink, have a good time, network with intentional people, and then from that, bring in the new year in a way that we haven't really done before. That was amazing. Whether or not we do anything like that again is completely dependent upon whether or not we continuously grow and have an ability to provide that for our community. What that taught me is that you have to show up every day and pay the price. It's not a one-time transaction. A lot of people think it's a one-time transaction. Let me read the book for 3 months, and then I'll put that down. Maybe I'll read another one, another 2 months. And then you're frustrated about your results. And you're like, damn, well, I read the book. Well, yes, but did you apply what the book said? And are you applying it every single day? I always quote Kobe Bryant, doubt is stupid. It's not anything. At the end of the day, you do something, you get an outcome. And regardless of what the outcome or the result is, you have to wake up the next day and do it again. If it's a win, awesome. You got to wake up, do the steps day by day to go and get a different result. Day by day to get where you want to go. Damn, you lost. That sucks. But you got to wake up the next day, do the step by step so that you can continuously progress to where you want to go. And in the process, all I recognized, all I learned was when it's all said and done, as my guy Robert said, your mindset is your number one asset. So treat it accordingly. Are you putting your money first to paying your bills, or are you putting money first to pay you? I know it's a weird concept, and a lot of people look at me sideways when I say that, but it's just something I've learned from Robert. I pay my bills last. And it might have gotten me to some crazy situations, but it's what the wealthy people do. Like, I'm sorry, I love every one of my family and my people. But at the end of the day, like if they look at me sideways or feel some type of way, I look at their financial situation and their lifestyle, and I'm sorry, it's not what I want. So I will take it with love. But I will gladly go and continuously learn from those that are running the plays that I need to implement so that my family has a chance for wealth. And that's all it is. That's you get the chance to win. You get the chance to create wealth. How do you go and actually get the wealth though? You got to continuously show up. Even if your chances are slim, even if your chances are great, but you've got to show up the next day and you've got to do the things. And that's what I've reminded myself of. And these past 2 chapters, I thought I was really going to get like a crazy insight on taxes, but I've learned I know plenty about taxes, y'all. My insight was a reminder. And I was like, yo, all right. I hear you, Robert. Appreciate you. So that being said, I appreciate everybody honestly tuning in and sharing their insight. Next week, we're going to be reading 6 and 7, I believe. Make sure you check the event details. It has it described in there. I don't have it off my dome. I apologize. But from there, let's go and actually win the week, man. Y'all have a good rest of y'all's weekend. But if anybody wants anything else to add, you guys can. My apologies. I don't know cut things off. Go ahead.
Yeah, because I wanted to. I gotta finish. I gotta finish talking about your thing. You know what I mean, Amber? When I said I didn't say evil, that's exactly what I meant. So excuse my rashness, but that's exactly what Marcus said is exactly what I meant. It's like more so there is gonna be evil on all sides, right? It's about the mindset and creating this like basically fortifying your mind against these, I would say, situations that come in front of people and just like really shape the way they move, you know, like if people like, I've met so many people who like are very arrogant about their belongings, their wealth, their money, whatever the case is. And I've seen my friends time and time again, like want to match that energy, but not necessarily learn what it takes to have the money, I would say. I don't know. It's more, I don't know, but I do know because it's more like just being in a place where you can always make sure that you are minding your own business. Like, mind the business that pays you. It has nothing to do with trivial material things. It's more about keeping a wealthy mindset all around. And when I say, like, there are a lot of there are a lot of great poor people in the world. There's a lot of great people in the world in general. Just like the financial understanding, understanding the way the world works, and not allowing the propaganda and the marketing techniques to brainwash us into believing that we have to strive to be better than people, wealthier than people. It's like, no, we just need to be better in general for ourselves. What does that look like for ourselves individually? So it's like, there's always going to be workers, there's always going to be wealthy people. It's more so when I said the wealthy, just they already have it. So people are very envious of that. And I hope that clarifies what I meant to say. So thank you, Marcus, for adding to that.
Yeah, 100%. Like, I really always wanted to talk about that because, like, the reason is you're not the first person to ever, like, say something like that. Like, I hear that all the time. And, like, and we talked about that last time, how, like, or one of the calls, we talked about how, you know, people have a real belief that people are wealthy, or wealthy people, or, you know. And so I know, like, the way that we speak about things, like, is just really, really important. And so, you know, whenever we want to identify as wealthy, like, as wealthy, like, we know, like, exactly what all of y'all said. Like, we know that we're not people, and that we're not gonna, you know, make those decisions. But there are people out here who have money, who are wealthy, who have negative characteristics, you know. But it's not because they're wealthy; it's because that's just who they are. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so,
oh my God, yes.
That's what I wanted to, like, just point out, because I just know, like, sometimes when I think about it from, like, a fresh perspective, or somebody who's just, like, you know, younger, beginning, like, they're, you know, listening, like, we are, like, the way that we speak is also going to continue to push the narrative, you know. And we don't want to continue to push the narrative about wealthy people being evil. We are wealthy people. I am.
It's literally what you speak is the narrative.
Oh.
That's real.
Oh my God, yes, exactly. We are the wealthy people, and we can change the narrative. Oh my God. You know what? Mary said something like that earlier too. She was saying that, like, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. That is a lie. You have to believe. Yes. And that's what she said too. She's like, no, we can learn. And that's 100% a fact. As long as the people with the wealthy mindset, the wealthy spiritual development, you know, the good stuff, like, can flourish and teach other people and spread it. Like, that's why you have PC, that's why you have TGF. These are things that y'all are putting in place to create abundance for the collective. And it's really important that we all remember that, to really be true to ourselves and what we want, because in that, it's like, that's how we actually add to the things and change the narrative. Like, for real, Amber.
Yes, ma'am. Well, I love you. This is a great conversation. I literally always wanted to talk about that because, like, I just remember someone saying, like, a couple of years ago to me, like, you'll never identify, like, if you think rich people are evil, you'll never let yourself be rich. So I remember just being obsessed with, like, okay, like, I identify with being rich. So then when I would hear stuff like, oh, rich people are evil, I feel like I'll get offended personally. I'm like, hold on, I'm a rich person and I'm not evil. Anyway, well, love this call, guys. I guess close it out. Love y'all.
Appreciate y'all.
I was gonna say something.
Amber.
Oh wait, no, Cam about to say something.
Really quick before Cam gets it. Amber, I think you're the host. Oh, I lied. Never mind. I am. Okay, go ahead.
So, something that I like to remember is simply this. For that legit question, yes, there's going to be rich people that are good. There's rich people that are evil. There's going to be all of that. All that being said, you know the character that you hold as a human on planet Earth, and you know the goals that you have for yourself. All that being said, good and evil wise doesn't matter. Your aura will still shine through. Your light will still shine through. And as real as it is, if you can't beat them, join them. So for the thought process on that being, if you can't beat out the rich at what they're doing in being a positive light, join them in being a positive light. Join them in the sense of learn what they're doing, observe the masses, do the opposite, meaning, but do it in a way that will basically show that you are actively trying to be better than them, in the sense of you trying to be better for yourself. Once you do that, that statement of if you can't beat them, join them automatically just locks itself in, because you're operating in the best version of yourself, and you're getting everything that you want out of life by helping other people get exactly what they want out of life. And you ain't doing no snaky fake stuff. So it's real as it is. If you can't beat them, join them. Just be the positive light that we all aspire to be. That's just my thought, though.
Yes, sir. Love that. Thanks for dropping some gems. I think that's it.
Boom. Well, let's go, y'all. Make sure that you hold yourself accountable, get your stuff done. If you can get a chance to read that thing, listen to the audio. It's worth your time. And then if you need any help, reach out to somebody on the squad and let's get some things cracking. Much love. We'll see you at the top. I was Rich Crowded. Peace.
Bye, y'all. Bye.